Okay, so let's imagine this. You're injured, right? Medical bills are piling up, and then bam, your insurance company denies your claim.
Yeah, that's rough. It's definitely a blow when you're already dealing with so much.
It is. But here's the thing. It's not always the end of the road. Today we're diving deep into this UK insurance advice website to give you the tools and knowledge to fight back.
We're going to figure out, why denials happen, what your options are, and even explore some legal tactics that might help you get more than you originally claimed.
More than you originally claimed. That's interesting. Okay, so first things first. Why do insurance companies deny claims in the first place? Is it always some kind of conspiracy?
Well, it's important to remember that insurance companies are businesses, right? At the end of the day, their goal is to manage risk and, of course, make a profit. So denials are often business decisions based on a lot of different factors.
So it's not personal, it's just business.
Exactly. Now, let's break down some of those common reasons. And I think it starts with understanding your policy. Because what's fascinating is that a lot of people don't actually realize the specifics of what they're covered for.
Right. Like, what does coverage issues even mean in real life?
Okay, so imagine this. You hurt your back helping a friend move some furniture.
Yeah.
Simple enough, right? But what if your policy has a clause that specifically excludes non-professional moving activities?
Oh, wow.
You could be out of luck.
That's crazy. I would never even think to look for something like that.
It's one of those things that people don't realize until it's too late. And that's why scrutinizing the details of your policy is key. It's like the blueprint for your coverage. Every line, every word matters.
Okay, noted. So coverage is crucial. What other reasons do they use to deny claims?
Another common one is delayed medical treatment. So if you wait too long after an injury to see a doctor, the insurer might argue that it wasn't that serious or that something else caused it.
So even if you think you're fine, it's always best to get checked out just in case.
Absolutely. Early documentation is so important. The more evidence you have linking your injury to the specific accident, the stronger your case will be. And I'm not just talking about doctor's notes here.
Oh, okay. What else?
Think about photos of the injury over time, maybe even a journal entry describing your pain levels. These things can be incredibly valuable later on.
That makes sense. What else trips people up?
Well, there's disputed liability. This is where the insurer believes that you were at least partially responsible for the accident.
So they're saying, hey, this isn't all on us.
Right. They might argue that your actions contributed to the injury and try to pay you less or even nothing at all.
That sounds tricky. How do you even handle that?
You have to be cautious with what you tell insurance adjusters. Be truthful, of course, but stick to the facts. Avoid speculating or admitting fault. It's kind of like a legal chess match, Every statement can have consequences.
Okay, walking that tightrope. Got it. Yeah. What other pitfalls should we watch out for?
This one is a biggie: lack of documentation. If you don't have enough medical records, police reports, witness statements, and so on, your claim might get denied simply because the insurer doesn't have enough information to properly assess it.
So it's not enough to just tell them what happened.
Yeah.
You need the paperwork to back it up.
Exactly. This is where being organized from the very beginning is so powerful.
Maybe.
Think of it like building a case file, right? The more evidence you have, the stronger your position. Even things like emails with your employer about missed work or text messages with friends about the accident can be useful.
Okay, I'm starting to see a theme here. Documentation, documentation, documentation. Anything else that commonly leads to denials?
Yeah, one more that can be tricky to navigate. Pre-existing conditions. So insurers might try to claim that your current injury was actually caused by a pre-existing medical condition and not the accident itself.
So like shifting the blame to something that was already there.
Right. They might argue that the accident simply aggravated a pre-existing condition, and therefore they're not liable for the full extent of your injuries. Again, this is where having clear medical documentation linking your injuries to the specific accident is absolutely critical.
Okay, so we've got the reasons down. But what happens if, despite all of this, your claim is still denied? What are your options then?
Well, don't panic. That denial letter isn't necessarily the final word. There's a plan for that.
Ooh, a comeback plan. I like it. What's the first step?
First, you need to really scrutinize that denial letter. Don't just take it at face value. Read it carefully. Look for any errors, misunderstandings, or missing information that you can easily clarify or correct. Sometimes denials happen because of a simple administrative mistake or a missing document.
So it's like double checking your work before you hit send.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's worth a thorough review before moving on to the more complex steps. And speaking of those,
what's next? Let's dive in.
The next stage is where you become a documentation detective.
I love that. Tell me more.
You need to gather every single piece of evidence related to your injury and the accident. We're talking medical bills, treatment records, photos of the accident scene, witness statements, communications with the insurance company, absolutely everything you can think of.
So the more evidence, the better.
You got it. The goal is to build a rock-solid case that you can use to challenge the insurer's decision.
Okay, so we've got our evidence arsenal ready. What do we do with it?
This is where the appeal process comes in. Most insurers have a formal procedure for appealing denied claims. It's your chance to present a more compelling argument, addressing their reasons for denial and providing all of that mountain of evidence we just talked about.
So it's not just restating your case, it's about filling in the gaps and proving them wrong.
That's a great way to put it. You need to understand their logic and counter it strategically.
Okay, so we've meticulously documented everything we've appealed the decision with all of our evidence. What do they still say no? Is that when we call in the professionals?
It might be. Knowing when to get legal help is a crucial part of this whole process. While you can handle the early steps yourself, sometimes you need an expert in your corner.
What are some signs that it's time to lawyer up?
Well, if your injuries are severe and require ongoing treatment, if you've lost a significant amount of income, or if the insurance company is being shady, unresponsive, or just plain difficult, it's definitely time to bring in a professional.
So a lawyer can help navigate those complexities and protect our interests.
Exactly. They have the expertise to understand the nuances of insurance law and can employ tactics and strategies to fight for you.
This is all great information. But what if a traditional claim just isn't an option? Are there other paths we can explore?
There are. A denial doesn't always mean you're completely out of luck when it comes to getting compensation.
All right, let's dig into those alternative routes. This is where it gets really interesting. So we've talked a lot about what to do after an accident, but what about being proactive? Is there anything we can do to sort of claim-proof ourselves before something happens?
You know, that's a great question. Being proactive is honestly one of the smartest things you can do. And I think it all starts with really understanding your insurance policy inside and out.
We touched on this a bit earlier, but why is it so important to understand our policies?
Well, think of it like this. Your insurance policy, it's like a contract between you and the insurance company, right? It lays out exactly what you're covered for, what's excluded, how the whole claims process works. And if you don't understand those terms, you could be in for a nasty surprise when you actually need to make a claim.
It's like trying to play a game without even reading the rule book.
Exactly. You're bound to make mistakes. So pull out those policy documents, take some time to really go through them. If anything is unclear, don't hesitate to call your insurance agent or company and ask for clarification.
That's a good tip.
Right.
Okay, so knowing our policies is step one.
Yeah.
What else can we do to be more proactive?
This might sound obvious, but it's worth repeating. Documents everything. And I mean everything, even if you think it's insignificant at the time.
Like what kind of things are we talking about?
Okay, so let's say you slip and fall in a store. Take pictures of the exact spot where you fell. Any hazards that might have contributed to the fall, even the shoes you were wearing.
Interesting.
If there were any witnesses, get their contact information. And like we discussed earlier, get medical attention right away and keep detailed records of all your treatments and expenses.
So basically treat every little incident like it could potentially become a claim.
Yeah, you got it. You're essentially building a paper trail that can be incredibly valuable if you need to prove your case later on.
Gotcha. Documentation check. What other proactive measures can we take?
You also need to be smart about how you communicate, especially with the insurance company. Always be truthful, of course, but be cautious about what you say. Avoid speculating about, the cause of the accident or admitting fault.
So be cooperative, but also protect yourself.
Exactly. Remember, anything you say can be used against you. So it's important to be measured in your communication. And when in doubt, consult with a lawyer before making any statements that could potentially damage your claim.
Solid advice.
Yeah.
Any other tips for navigating this tricky landscape?
One more that's super important. Follow your doctor's orders religiously. This shows that you're taking your injuries seriously and doing everything you can to recover.
So even if we're feeling better, we shouldn't slack off on our treatment plan.
Exactly. Consistency is key. If you deviate from the prescribed treatment, the insurer might question the severity of your injuries or even deny your claim outright.
Okay, so to sum it all up, know your policy document. Everything. Be smart with your communication and follow your doctor's orders. That sounds like a pretty solid plan for claim-proofing ourselves.
It is. Taking these steps empowers you to be in control of your insurance destiny.
This has been so insightful. I feel like I've learned so much about a topic that's often confusing and overwhelming.
And we've really just scratched the surface. There's always more to learn about protecting yourself and ensuring a fair outcome in the world of insurance claims.
Speaking of which, we haven't really explored those alternative paths to compensation that you mentioned earlier. Can we dive into those now?
Absolutely. Let's start with what happens if you believe someone else's negligence caused your injury. In these cases, you might be able to bypass the insurance company altogether and file a lawsuit directly against the at-fault party.
So if someone else is responsible for our injuries, we can go after them directly.
Exactly. This is particularly relevant in situations like car accidents or slipping falls, where it's clear that someone else's actions directly led to your injuries.
That makes sense.
What else is there?
Another important avenue, especially in the UK where it's mandatory, is uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. This kicks in when the person who caused the accident either doesn't have insurance or doesn't have enough to cover your damages.
So even if the other driver is uninsured, we might still be covered.
That's right. It acts as a safety net protecting you when the other party isn't adequately insured. It's worth checking your own policy to see what level of uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage you have.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Any other options we should be aware of? There's one that can be a bit more complex, but potentially very impactful. It's called a bad faith claim. This is where you take action against the insurance company itself if you believe they acted unfairly or didn't properly investigate your claim.
Wait, hold on. We can sue the insurance company. Tell me more about this bad faith claim.
It's essentially a way to hold them accountable for their actions. If you can prove they acted in bad faith, you might be able to recover damages beyond your original claim amount.
What would be considered bad faith? What kind of evidence would we need?
Well, there are a few things that could qualify. For example, if they deny your claim without a valid reason, if they deliberately delay the process to make things difficult, or if they fail to conduct a thorough investigation, those could all be grounds for a bad faith claim.
That sounds pretty serious. I imagine it would be tough to prove, though.
It can be, which is why it's crucial to consult with an attorney who specializes in this area. They can help you gather the necessary evidence and navigate the legal complexities.
So if we suspect foul play, it's worth talking to a lawyer to explore this bad faith claim option. What about workplace injuries? Is that handled differently?
You're right, that's a separate system. If you're injured on the job, you're likely covered under workers' compensation.
And how does that differ from a regular injury claim?
The key difference is that in most cases, you don't need to prove fault to receive workers' comp benefits.
So even if it was my own mistake, I might still be covered.
Exactly. The system focuses on getting injured workers the medical care and wage replacement they need to recover, regardless of who is at fault.
That definitely takes some pressure off. Are there any other types of coverage we should keep in mind?
Yes. Don't forget about things like MedPay or personal injury protection, often called PIP. These are additional coverage options that can be added to your health insurance or auto insurance policies.
What do those cover?
MedPay helps cover medical expenses regardless of who was at fault for the accident, while PIP is a bit broader and can also cover things like lost wages and other essential services.
So they're like bonus safety nets.
You could say that it's all about understanding the full range of coverage you have available and how to use it to your advantage.
This has been an amazing deep dive. We've gone from why claims are denied to how to fight back, and even explored alternative ways to get compensation. I feel like a whole new world has opened up to me.
And we're not done yet. There's one more crucial thing we need to discuss.
All right, so we've covered so much ground. Why claims get denied, how to fight back, even those alternative ways to get compensation. What's this crucial final point?
You know, at the end of the day, it all boils down to this: a denied injury claim is a setback, not a defeat.
It's not the end of the world.
Exactly. There are options. There are resources, strategies to help you navigate this process and get the compensation you deserve.
We shouldn't just give up and accept the insurance company's decision.
Absolutely not. By understanding your rights, being proactive, and, seeking expert advice when needed, you can take control of the situation.
This whole conversation has really highlighted how important it is to be informed, to be proactive, especially with something as crucial as insurance.
I couldn't agree more. It's like anything else in life. The more you know, the better equipped you are to handle whatever comes your way.
So for everyone listening, it's time for a policy checkup.
Yes. Dust off those insurance documents and really make sure you understand what you're covered for. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Seek clarification if something's not clear.
It's so easy to just file those documents away and forget about them until something goes wrong.
But that's when you're most vulnerable. When you don't understand your own coverage, you're at the mercy of the insurance company's interpretation.
Yep.
And that can have serious consequences.
Knowledge is power, especially in this world of insurance. We've learned so much today. I feel much more confident about navigating this whole process in the future.
That's great to hear. And remember, even if your claim is denied, don't panic. You have options. There are steps you can take to fight back and protect yourself.
Well said. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive.
It's been my pleasure. I hope our conversation has empowered listeners to, approach their insurance claims with more confidence and a clearer understanding of what they can do.
Absolutely. And for everyone out there listening, remember, a denied claim is not the end of the story. You have the power to fight back and protect your interests. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and stay curious.
Please subscribe to our channel for more videos.